We want to thank everyone for coming this evening, and for those that are watching on Cox Cable tonight, it's April 30th, 2013. Thank you again, and thank you to Anne Marie McKay, who's back there doing the camera work and recording this program this evening. And I just wanted to mention this program, along with a number of other programs that we've done, are available on DVD at the Murphy Smith Bungalow for a donation of $5. That is what is suggested. So again, thank you for coming. I just wanted to touch base on a few items, and again, to thank Wells Fargo Bank, who owns the Murphy Smith Bungalow, for extending our lease through December 31st, 2014. We love being there. We've been there since 1992. And we're enjoying making a number of improvements inside and out as a result of the very first inspection that Wells Fargo did this last fall. So anyway, we've taken on a number of things, and I want to thank our board members, John Hoover and Karen Smith, for their ongoing hard work with the interiors and the gardens and the repairs that we've been doing. But I especially want to thank Ed Brankard and Chuck Schoen and Barbara Sparkle, who earmarked their donations, their generous donations, to help us make those improvements. The donations from the City of Laguna Beach Community Assistance Grant, along with our doctor group, Caduceus, with our board member, Greg DeNicola, along with some other Historical Society board members, Robert Bethia, Stephen Hofstetter, Robert England, Frank Ricciazzi, who have presented funds that support our educational programs such as this, free and open to everyone. It also helps us with the printing of our brochures and the newsletters that everyone receives that announce this and provide some very fun photographs and interesting things. But one of the highlights that we received recently was a delightful certificate from the Orange County Register, and I just want to read, it was also in the newsletter, but it states on the certificate, "In grateful recognition for the many ways you serve our community and enrich people's lives," and it was signed by Aaron Kushner. So that's pretty nice. That's the first thing we've received like that. It's very fun. Anyway, we're very fortunate to be so supported by our community, but I especially want to thank our board members, who I see a number of here this evening, Eric Jessen and Jean Felder, who just dashed out, Nelda, Jane, who else is here, Anne Frank. I want to thank them very much for all their hard work, John Hoover and Greg and Ron Kaufman and Karen, for everything that they're doing to continue the mission of the Historical Society. But this evening, we have a little bit of business to do. Tonight is our annual meeting of our membership, and we are going to be doing our annual Board of Directors election. So with that, I don't know where Jean is, but I'd like to just go ahead and
Gene accidentally was so preoccupied getting ready for this evening, he accidentally pushed the blinker light on his dashboard, so his blinker lights are out on the street, and he was going to ignore it, and I warned him, "No, your battery will be dead when you get back. Okay. He'll be right here. He's in front of the water district."
Do you want to talk for a few seconds, and then I'll wait till Jean gets back for this?
I wasn't supposed to be here tonight. I made an emergency return from the Eastern Sierra.
Yay.
Just to be here. So here's Jean. Blinkers are off.
Well, at least it wasn't the car alarm. Tonight is about sharing. We've had people share with us photos.
Jean, I have a bit of business to take care of first. Sorry. I'm glad he's okay with that. Otherwise, I couldn't call you treasurer. Okay, so with that, I'd like to just read off the slate of the board of directors that have been nominated: Greg DeNicola, John Hoover, Ron Kaufman, Lori Saunders, Nelda Stone, Anne Frank, Jane Jans, Glenna Matthews, Fern Spitaleri, Jean Felder, Eric Jessen, Francie Holder-Pemper, Karen Smith, and myself, Kimberly Stewart. And with that, I'd also like to open the floor two nominations for anyone who would like to join the Board of Directors of the Laguna Beach Historical Society. And I'm seeing somebody out there, a brand new member, and if you're so inclined, I would love it if somebody would nominate Ed Stark.
If you'd like to be on the
So-
board, please nominate yourself. It's not, you'll be elected.
Well, if I could be of some service, I would do it.
I believe you would. So can I get a second from the floor, please?
Second.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Thank you. So with that, a vote. Everyone in favor of the slate plus the addition of Mr. Ed Stark?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, I close this election. Thank you so much and welcome. This is going to be fun. We'll follow up with you later then. Okay, so with that, I would like to go ahead and open up the program and again announce that it's just wonderful that Eric was able to get back from his trip. I don't think he even stopped at home, right? You did?
Had a nap.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so with that, Jean, why don't you just go right ahead? I think it's all ready to go. Thank you so much.
Eric, could you take care of the lights, please? So as I was saying, we want to share, we've been concerned for many years, the board, that every day some bit of Laguna's history is being lost. So for those having treasured historic photographs or printed material, actually we scanned in a hangar just the other day. Yeah. Anyway, we're happy to scan them in electronically and return the originals to the people so they don't have to part with them. And yet we do have a record for future generations. So what we got from a family was about a reservoir. So I'd like to show that to you at this time. Does anybody remember William Moorhead from 1958 to 1972, General Manager, Secretary of the Laguna Beach County Water District? And
He has a reservoir named after him, I know that.
well, that's what we're going to show here so that everybody knows that the reservoir is named after him for his services to the community. So here he is at the district office. Here's the staff, the employees of the Laguna Beach County Water District, and Mr. Moorhead there. Here's the early reservoir construction photo in 1971. We're going to show you. Please, patience. No, actually, that's very good. During this entire thing, we have some images that we've never seen before. And if you see something that you'd like to comment on, please yell out. He passed away in April of 1972. There was no official dedication ceremony for the reservoir because he passed away before it was finished. He announced his retirement in November 11th, 1971. He requested to stay on as a consultant to help the water district in spite of his illness. So he's had resolutions accommodating him, even a note from Miss Lorna Mills of the Laguna Federal Savings in 1972 acknowledging his service to the community. The governor of the state of California, Ronald Reagan, acknowledged his work. Here's a copy of his Rotary Club membership. He ran for city council. I wasn't exactly sure if he had won or not. Anybody know if William Moorhead served on the city council? He was mayor, so he must have won. They had big Festival of the Arts festivities there at the Irvine Bowl. Okay, here's the location of the reservoir.
That's the large rectangular wall structure up above the festival grounds on the side of the hill that you can see the retaining wall for.
The family came to visit the reservoir, and a picture taken up there. And there is the William V. Moorhead Memorial Reservoir. And they thank everybody who helped in their visit. Over some recent times, we also received a number of images, and we'd like to show them to you. This was my wife and I in Croatia for our 30th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Slideshow from the beginning. So does anybody have anything they could lend to us? A menu? A hanger? But then I thought before I start, I had talked about YouTube. There is a great video clip on YouTube. Those were the days on Laguna Beach. So you don't have to remember P5J2MLH, although it would be a good idea to do so. Just go to YouTube and put in Laguna Beach, those were the days, and it is a fun video clip. Your Laguna Beach Historical Society Board of Directors Program Committee has been working on a program by Nick Scow and the Orange Sunshine, the story of the Brotherhood of Eternal Love. We've been working on this program for a long time. How long? I've read the book. Yeah. So, and I would recommend it to you. What a story. This is unbelievable. So this book was written by Nick Scow 2 years ago or something like that. We're going to have him and William Kirkley come and do a program, but it's kind of hard to arrange the schedule when we do. But they have, if you go on YouTube, you'll see interviews with former police chief Neil Purcell about various things, you know, the Christmas happening and so forth. And if you go to the Laguna Beach magazine, The Christmas Happening, there's an interesting video there also. I was trying to figure out how to do internet access here from the council chambers, but there was not an engineer in the house to help me. So a number of people who have shared with us. One is Julie Benedict, and this is the information that she provided us. This is a house by the painter George K. Brandriff at 274 Wave Street. Now, you know, today we have starving artists, and they don't have a house that looks like this. This is an artist in the 1930s here in Laguna Beach on Wave Street, that beautiful home.
The gable of the witch house is right there.
And isn't this house about to start an extensive renovation?
That's not our field. We don't know.
There's a sign on the front of the house. I was just there a couple of days ago. It's quite dilapidated, run down. But someone is apparently applying for.
So here in the city of Laguna Beach, we have the Heritage Committee. A member of our board, Anne Frank, is on that committee. So anything that would be on the historic resource inventory would come before them. And of course, as Skip has indicated, if it's run down and in need of serious repair, it's less likely to be saved. But this is what it looked like in the 30s. Here's George Brandriff on the front lawn, the summer of 1933. Nice vehicle with Francis Brandriff.
Invasive pampas grass in the front yard.
Already there. So, you know, the Festival of the Arts was started in 1932, and so the second year, in the 1933 Festival of the Art program was this sketch of George K. Brandriff, and then in the next one, so the third Festival of the Arts, was information that had to do, that's it, that's the way it was. That's the Laguna Beach, the way it was, yeah. Anyway, 272 Wave Street. So apparently it's not that great of a story. Although he painted, here's an example of his work. This is the new church, the Community Presbyterian Church, there at Forest Avenue and 2nd Street with scaffolding around it, his painting. We got this information from Skip Hallowell, that from the artists in California, that he was born in New Jersey, moving to Orange, California in 1913. Brandriff worked as a piano salesman, and Skip thinks maybe for Pine, of Pine Castle. Shortly after his arrival in California, he enrolled in the USC College of Dentistry and in 1918 opened a dental office in Hemet, California. Without the benefit of formal training, he had been painting all his life. He later had a few art lessons from Anna Hills, Carl Oscar Borg, Jack Wilkinson Smith, and in 1928 abandoned dentistry to devote full time to art. Brandriff later taught painting in Laguna Beach, where Orrin White was one of his pupils and served as president of the Art Association there. Many of his paintings were of the sea and fishermen and in the area. However, he was stricken by cancer. His short career ended with his suicide in 1936 in Laguna Beach. And apparently the Laguna Art Museum has some of his work in their collection. So here's the house at 274 Wave Street. Here's horses in Laguna Canyon in 1932. Here is George Brandriff on a horse in Laguna Canyon in 1932. So we've never seen these photos before, and we really appreciate the opportunity of scanning them in. The next one kind of touches a bit on Dana Lamb and his canoe, 16-foot canoe, the Vagabonda. And there is a book written, The Enchanted Quest, which is about Dana and Ginger Lamb, about their exploits. And but this is photos. Oh, well, here's some information. So Dana Upton Lamb and Virginia Ginger Marshall Bishop Lamb chronicled their 3-year, 16,000-mile voyage in their homemade 16-foot canoe, the Vagabonda, from Southern California down the Pacific coast of Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Panama in their best-selling 1938 book, Enchanted Vagabonds. Their second book, Quest for the Lost City, 1951, was the basis for a featured-length film of the same name produced by Saul Lesser in 1954. And this is information from the Society of California Archivists. But we got a bunch of paintings, a scrapbook, actually, a photo album from Susan Adcock Osborne. And she wrote a book, Eternally Yours. And this is the Jimmy Adcock story of Love and War by Susan Adcock Osborne. So in the photo album, it says, during my stay at Goff Island from July 23rd to September 6th, I encountered many new friends. Among those who I never shall forget are Ginger and Dana Lamb of Santa Ana. Dana acquired the job as deputy and lifeguard for the Orange County coast. He camped throughout the summer at Goff Island, where I made my acquaintance. During my stay at Goff Island, I stayed and passed my senior life-saving tests to Dana Lamb. I went with him quite often on calls in his patrol truck. Calls came through such as drowning, suicide, automobile accidents, and emergencies. They all were full of thrills. His car call number was 109 and patrolled the coast from Seal Beach down past San Clemente. We all seem to get along. Oh, we all seem to get along very well and had, it seems, some pretty good times. The summer of 1937 is over and now full of memories that we shall have forever. Yield happiness time, something like that. He's pretty good penmanship, but I'm not that good of a reader. Dana and his wife Ginger are the daring couple who are the thrill seekers of the 20th century. They together took a 16,000-mile trip in a 16-foot canoe. Their canoe, the Vagabonda, was the smallest chartered ship to ever pass through the Panama Canal. Now, of course, when we had the program on Richard Halliburton, we were told that he was charged for the mass of his body going through the Panama Canal. So I'm not sure.
He swam it, though.
Yeah, he swam it. He wasn't in a canoe. So they were quite, what does that say? They were...
Gone.
Oh, they were gone for 3 years and lived by trading with the natives and fishing, etc., for themselves. They were rescued once, however, when Dana went down with an appendectomy. They set foot on land which had never been mapped correctly. They lived 3 whole years, as did Robinson Crusoe. They are thrill seekers to me. So here in his photo album is Ginger and Dana Lamb. Here he is with his truck. Here is the Vagabonda and the Coast Patrol truck at the headquarters at Goff Island. And of course, Goff Island we now generally refer to as Treasure Island, 1938. Okay, they're practicing Cecil Forrest Zeno. So this guy is Bobby Adcock and our patient, and we practice at resuscitation with Dana Lamb supervising. Here's Crescent Beach with Bird Rocks in the background in Laguna Beach, January 3rd, 1937. I was told, this is a scientific term, bird rock. So any rock that has bird doo-doo on it can be called bird rock.
Gino, it's called guano.
Guano, yes, guano. But we refer to this rock as seal rock, right? Off of
Yes.
what we now call Smith Cliffs. So he in 1937, he referred to seal rocks as bird rocks.
Crescent Bay Point Park is right on the tip of this peninsula. So that's the end of Crescent Bay Drive right there.
Shaw's Beach says Laguna after high tides and rough waters washed it out. So we have the Shaw's Cove or Marine Drive gazebo. This is not the gazebo at Las Brisas. And
Mary Lou Metler's. Yeah.
Mary Lou what?
Mary Lou Metler owns that gazebo and it's painted white.
Mary Lou Metler owns the gazebo and it's painted white. It's good to know. This is Crescent Beach and the sinker hole in the background in 1937.
This would be Twin Points right here, the Contino Estate, where the 3 rocks awash paintings by Edgar Payne were painted right off the tip.
So what is he referring to as the sinker hole? Anybody know about a sinker hole at Crescent Beach? Here's a view of Treasure Island or Goff Island from the sea. The Cove at Goff Island in 1938. In the scrapbook, in the photo book, are a number of friends. So here is Hazel Nogle. She's on the Miramonte Boulevard with an infection below the knee.
Is that a double image on that shadow? What is that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got a person in here with a tie.
It's a ghost.
We have another person here who looks like, behind her. Hmm?
On the left.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a face. Okay, well, I would blame it on photography of 1937, but for those who want to talk about ghosts, that's fine too. Here's Jimmy Adcock at Goff Island, holding up a smaller friend. Here they are at with Santiago, or the Saddleback Mountain in behind. Playing something on the beach. Here's a group of fit-looking people. There's Bobby Adcock here. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they're doing here.
Let's hope that's not.
I just don't know. Looks like fun, I guess.
Playing Tarzan.
Now, of course, we know that in the 30s, you could get lobster and abalone of substantial size. That looks like a good size. That's a lobster, isn't it? That's a good size lobster. He lived a very long life, but I guess it's over. Here's Goff Island, Laguna Beach, 1936. Looking down into the coves at Goff Island, the winter of 1936.
You would have, this would be Aliso Beach right here. This is Camel Point right here. And then the Coast Royal neighborhood beginning to emerge. Might be out of view. If that's the Halliburton home site, it looks like it's being graded. Let's see, what year is that?
36.
36. House was built in 37, so this is a very telling photograph. This is Aliso Peak, and it looks like there's some site preparation going on up at the Halliburton house.
Here's Jimmy Adcock with his brother Bob in 1936 at Goff Island, at the Goff Island camp. Let's see. While Robert anxiously cleans abalones, Bill in 1936 rhythmically pounds them. Mort All, Richard Adcock, and Nona Lee watch as, I guess, Mother is in the background here working. Here's Virginia Whip and Bobby Adcock on their way to Mount Baldy in 1939. Is this a rumble seat over here? What is this thing here?
That's a toboggan.
Oh, that's toboggan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's the Cove at Goff Island in 1938. Most of Ginger Lamb, Hazel Nogle, and Bobby Adcock, and a little bit of Kay Cable in 1938. I don't know what they're doing here either. Here's, I guess, the catch of the day. Now, I just finished a book, Then and Now, where I was responsible for the historic photos, and my co-author, Foster Eubank, had to find exactly where the historic photographer was standing. And Foster's about 10 years older than I am, but he was willing to stand in the middle of Coast Highway to take a photograph or climb up the Chaparral hillside to go in there to take the picture exactly where it was. And so I guess this is Bobby Adcock standing in the middle of Coast Highway with traffic coming.
You can see the tower on the theater right here. And this is the kind of, what do you call it, pinkish building just up Coast Highway on the right above Broadway, the one with the turrets on it. The Hotel Laguna, obviously right here. The Ish building sits down in here, probably Benton's coffee shop and so forth.
So the one with the turrets, that was the villa?
No, it's still there. It's the very prominent, what do you call, it's a darker than pink building. Right across the street from the inn at Laguna, or across the street from the coffee shop that's across the street from where we're reconstructing the lifeguard headquarters, in one property up, going towards the cottage. Oh, okay. Whatever the name is.
It's the villa. So here's Jerry Brown and Robert Hankey on Hankey's car in 1937. There's Virginia Nahas in June 29th, 1936, Goff Island. Now here's one that says Benson's here. So is this Main Beach?
No, Benton's. Benson's is something else.
Oh, where is this
Benton's Coffee Shop, not Benson's. That's probably...
This Hotel Laguna over here? Well, anyway, it's the city of Laguna Beach, 1936.
Those buildings are right across the street from the movie theater.
Yeah, that would be Old Man Beach. If that's Hotel Laguna on the far left.
Well, this says Laguna Dance here, Laguna Dancing.
Yeah.
It says Benson's here. So those businesses went right up to the curb, right up to the sidewalk.
Back to the boardwalk.
Back to the boardwalk.
No, they back to El Paseo, which... Oh.
Boardwalk there.
Some of them did back up to the boardwalk.
Sales started a little closer to Laguna Hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's Bobby Adcock. Goff Island paddleboard, 25 cents an hour. Here's just one item from Mary Lamb. This is addressed to Mrs. Orilla Machette, and it's a membership card in the Laguna Beach Art Association dated May 1926. Your annual dues as a member of the association are now payable. The amount is $1.
While we're still on the subject of Lamb, Gene described that his lifeguard territory essentially was the entire county coastline from Seal Beach to San Clemente. The reason why that was is because back in those early days, the entire lifeguarding service, for the most part along the Orange County shoreline, was provided by the Orange County Harbor District, just exactly as the Harbor Patrol used to be before it became part of the Sheriff's Department, still funded by the Orange County Harbor District, which later became the Harbors, Beaches, and Parks District. So he was essentially a county employee. And quite a number of years ago now, I don't remember who it was, Gene or Kimberly, but somebody was bringing Dana Lamb to our attention. I remember about this. And suddenly some old-timers popped up and said, oh, yeah, Dana Lamb. And one of them was Maxine Dugan, who was a journalist for one of the Laguna early papers, born in the two-story shingle building directly behind Laguna Nursery, still standing. Used to be more recently Laguna Equipment Rentals. She was the best friend of William, what's the famous plein air artist that did the painting of the Big Bend, whose house was across the street from William Griffith. She was the best friend of William Griffith's daughter, and she was one of those people that jumped up and said, you guys don't know about, Dana Lamb, but we didn't.
Dana Lamb was the lifeguard chief in Laguna in the early 30s, and then he was the lifeguard chief for the county, as you say, and it was hired by the county supervisor.
Right.
So you're saying that Dana Lamb first was the chief lifeguard for the city of Laguna Beach in the 1930s, then got hired by the county.
That's right, and then Ed Hobart followed Dana Lamb.
Okay.
34 or 35.
And in 34, Ed Hobart followed Dana Lamb.
Correct.
As the chief lifeguard. This is being recorded and watching. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, just to add that one of the photos that you showed of David Lamb on the beach, I have that. I was wondering why. Well, it might be because my aunt was one of the first ladies lifeguards.
Oh, how exciting.
All right. Her name was Melissa Shattuck.
And then actually, as things evolved, the county continued to provide lifeguard service within many cities, not all of them. Some of the cities, just like some cities today, prefer to still have their own fire department rather than be part of the Orange County Fire Authority. And when I joined the Orange County Harbors, Beaches, and Parks Department in 1975, they were just in the process of trying to wean the cities off of county lifeguarding and getting it together themselves. And when they started the process, we actually budgeted supplemental funds to give to the cities. When we gave up countywide lifeguarding and only confined it to county-owned beaches, we gave essentially supplemental grants to the cities to help offset their lifeguard expenses.
We also had the opportunity to scan in Robert Story's photo album. It includes Bob Story with a stuffed animal. He was born in 1934. Here's Barbara Bombera Nash, Bob Story on Main Beach, on the Main Beach Boardwalk in about 1940. Now, I don't know how this works, but apparently his mother had a employment agency in between Rankins and the Forest Avenue Market, not a large space at 221 Forest Avenue. The Jane Story Employment Agency. Here she is on Main Beach, about 1940, with the broiler and gangplank. Another photo there on Main Beach. Here's the Hotel Laguna in the back, and cottages along the boardwalk. Jane Story, Bob Story's mom. Jane Story in front of the boat storage shacks on the north end of Main Beach. Peanuts Larson-shaped surfboard.
While we're on the subject of looking at a giant surfboard, for those of you who have not yet been there, the Surfing Heritage Foundation has a museum in the hills inland of San Clemente that has the world's largest collection of surfboards. I think, if I recall correctly, one or two of them might go as far back as the early 1800s, and they're from all over the world. I saw a program recently presented by Harry Chandler, the second son of Otis Chandler, the publisher of the Los Angeles Times, at the Surfing Heritage Museum, and I was just blown away. I had been there before, but they've moved into larger headquarters, and they now bill themselves as having the world's largest collection of surfboards. So it's definitely worth a trip. Not easy to find, though.
This is a good-sized surfboard, or she's a particularly petite woman. We did have a program a couple of years ago by Craig Lockwood on Peanuts Larson, and in that they talked about that Peanuts, down around San Clemente or someplace, was reputed to have ridden the largest wave ever on the west coast of the United States. And in Bob Story's photo album is this image. I don't know.
This is before Photoshop, so you can assume it's an authentic photograph.
That's supposed to be Dana Point. Right.
Oh, is it Dana Point?
It might. It is the Killer Dana. Okay.
Thank you. Here's Stanton Phillips and Bob Story on Astor Street. They later were the Laguna Beach High School class in 1952. Bob Story's father apparently worked with Carl Weddell for Weddell Ceramics and Tippecanoes behind Coast Boulevard near Ramona Avenue. Ramona Avenue is that little alley kind of right behind the Heisler building. Here's from Ramona Avenue, the view of Sleepy Hollow and Weddell Pottery. Glenneyre Street and Ruby Streets. And here is Mrs. Leberman's home at 522 Anita Street. Anita Street was named after Anita Skidmore, one of the stepchildren of Nate Brooks. And here's Bob's story on the KTLA set of Sheriff John working in TV in the 1950s. This photo is from another source. It's from the University of Southern California Digital Lab. And it is a photo we've never seen before where you have both the Arch Beach Hotel, which was built in something like 1887 by Hubbard Goff at the foot of Diamond Street. And Hubbard Goff and Nate Brooks also built a pier off the Arch Beach Pier. And then they bought the schooner Emma.
You have Abalone Point right here, and Abalone Knoll, Laguna Peak right here. And this is the little peninsula just north of Diamond that kind of got shaved off, that was featured in one of those Edgar Payne paintings that I showed you a few months ago.
This was from First American Title. This is the Episcopal Church built in 1925 on Park Avenue. So, of course, the Presbyterian Church was built in 1928 at Forest Avenue and 2nd Street. But 3 years prior, Percy Wise Clarkson built this church where today is St. Mary's Episcopal Church. When this was built, it was named St. Francis by the Sea Episcopal Church. You may recall Percy Wise Clarkson then announced that he was going to get a divorce and he had to leave the Episcopal Church. So he built St. Francis by the Sea American Catholic Church next door. This church was demolished in 1979 and the current structure was built there. That's right. He left the church and he took the name with him. That's right.
There was when the land was purchased, the church was in 6 different lots. And Percy took those and...
Say that again, that when hold the mic up, that when they purchased the land, they bought it in 6 different lots.
They bought 6 different lots, and Percy purchased, although acting for the church, and the church held the mortgage, he took the lots in his own name. And so when he attempted a divorce and the church asked for his resignation, he pointed out that he was the owner of the property on which the church sat. It took a while for that to be resolved, and in the meantime, he took possession of 3 of the lots, one which had the parsonage on it, two had the parsonage on it, and that building still stands behind the church. And the 3rd lot he used to build the smallest cathedral, and it had to be the smallest because the lot was small. And the oddest thing about him is that the divorce that was started that caused his resignation from one church and led him to start another, he never finished the divorce. They actually remained married.
Thank you, Skip. This is thanks to Laguna natives. This is the Little Brown Chapel before the Community Presbyterian Church at 2nd Street and Forest Avenue was the Laguna Chapel, or the Laguna Brown Chapel. And Joseph S. Thurston married Marie Harding Frazier Thurston in 1921. So here's Joseph S. Thurston. The middle school is named after his wife, the school teacher, member of the board of the school board, Marie Thurston. And one of these little girls, so Joe Thurston got 2 stepdaughters. One of these is the mother of Mayor Kelly Boyd.
And Kelly told me at a Laguna Canyon Conservancy dinner meeting when he recently spoke as mayor at the beginning of the year at Tivoli Terrace that they are relatives of President Warren G. Harding, and that's where the Harding comes in.
This is a photo album. So this is 33
What is that, RPM? What is it? Anyway, so here is Cesar Romero, the famous movie star, on the album cover of Laguna Language series in 1962, Laguna Beach Books. So I'm not sure what it is, but there are some cartoons here. Anybody recognize the cartoonist?
Is it Interlandy? Nah, couldn't be. It's the only one I know.
Cartoonist, and this is the back of the album cover, and full of these little cartoon characters by Ed Nofsinger.
Oh, Nopsinger, okay.
In 1962. Yes? Please.
Hang on.
I'm Carolyn of the Coast Inn, and my grandfather, who built the Coast Inn, had 5 children. And Bernard married Elia. Elia came from Cuba and lived on Glenneyre Street, where they have now got the low-income housing. It used to be a school. So she lived there, as well as some other people that we know. Eltermans, for instance, and married Bernard. And Elia from Cuba, Cesar Romero, they're cousins.
I remember Cesar Romero being in town a lot back in those days.
And that's my guess why.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, so then we got to scan in a bunch of images thanks to Joanne Conroy Billings. Here is Joanne herself in 1928 at Crystal Cove. And there's with her Aunt Mollie and her Uncle Bill Hardin, June 2nd, 1929 at Crystal Cove. Trudy, Joanne Conroy, and Ann in Crystal Cove in 1928. Here are a couple vehicles behind them. Apparently it's pre-1927 with Tom and Judy Conroy in the center. So Sunset Terrace, that's by Victoria Beach, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's where Mollie Hardin had her home, and there she is. Here are a couple other images of Boat Canyon with construction going on. So I think this is Cliff Drive, and this is Coast Highway. Anybody can confirm that? Absolutely. Okay. And here's homes next to that construction that's going on. We also received photos that we scanned in from Lawson Mead. You complain about the construction of your house. This is what they built in 1922 or before. Anyway, here's a building in 1922. Beata Giddings on Main Beach in 1922, taken at sunrise.
I have some. Do you all know the Giddings?
No.
Let's see if it's working. It is. Okay. We had a good friend here whose name was Jane Giddings, and her family was very prominent in Pasadena, but she spent a lot of time in Laguna too. She was an artist. But her family, not only being prominent in Pasadena and being there from the 1800s, also owned the biggest, well, I should say the most prominent home on Catalina Island in Avalon. If you all know the Holly Hill house, the big white one with a turret, it's white and red. And that was a Giddings home too. So apparently the Giddings were in Pasadena, they were around Laguna, definitely in Avalon, and then here in Main Beach.
Laguna Beach, Avalon, and Pasadena. Well, not too bad, huh? Thank you, Sandy. Here's 1910 Coast Road. Got one telephone pole or electric pole or something. Here's a car full of visitors to Laguna Beach in 1913. Car on the road, May 28th, 1922. Now, Jean Giddings Tuttle on Main Beach. This is in front of the Nate Brooks house in 1912. Here she is, Jean Giddings Tuttle, in her bonnet on Main Beach. Here we can see the first Main Beach pier. The first pier was built in 1896 and lasted 20 years to about 1916. Then in 1926, the longer Main Beach pier was built by Tony Durkham, and instead of lasting 20 years, it lasted 13, perhaps being destroyed by the so-called hurricane of 1939.
Great Chubasco of 1939.
Here's a photo of her 66 years later. Now, can you see the resemblance? Now, various people commented that there was a teacher, Mrs. Tuttle, at Thurston Middle School, that they think may very well be this person on Main Beach in 1912, teaching in Laguna Beach, Thurston Middle School. And here she is in 1978. One of the comments was, particularly on rainy days, they would have the earthworms come out, and she would tell the story about the worms. They just don't do that anymore, you know what I mean?
Question about the picture of 1912 that showed Nate Brooks' house on Main Beach. I just saw a picture that had the Pomona College Marine Laboratory in it, which was built in 1913. And in that picture, a house that looked like Nate's wasn't on Main Beach, but it was a couple blocks back on what appeared to be ocean. Does anybody know the story of that home?
Well, I think Ramsey does say, Merle Ramsey says that this house was moved. So, I think the word that he uses is that, but I would think, I always thought it was about 1900, about the turn of the century, that Catherine Skidmore's husband died, and that Nathaniel Lorenzo Nate Brooks, after 50 years of blessed bachelorhood, went and married the widow, Catherine Skidmore, about 1900, something like that. And he managed to get 4 stepchildren, Joe Skidmore, Guy Skidmore, Anita Skidmore, and who's the other one? Come on, who's the other one?
Is there a Joe?
No, there's 4. There's another daughter. But because of, the Morin Schoolhouse was abandoned. It was brought down to Canyon Acres, and so the children could go to school. Nate Brooks moved his house to this area. The other thing Burl Wilson Viebeck says is that her great-great-uncle George Rogers sold the beachfront lot to Nate Brooks for $50.
While we're still on this photo, this is Mystic Hill and the mouth of Laguna Canyons in this divot back here. Check out the outhouses. 1, 2, 3.
You can't have too many outhouses. But we'd like to scan in that photo that you looked at with the Pomona College Marine Laboratory that shows the Nate Brooks house further inland.
It was you can see it on Lightheaded. It's that picture taken. There were 2 pictures taken, and Steve Turnbull realized they were taken from the same spot at the same day, and so he photoshopped them together, and it's a panoramic view that goes from Cliff Drive to the right, all the way down the...
Do you know that it snowed in Laguna Beach? This is a photo of January 19... This is either a photo. When did it snow? In 51 or 49? What was it?
49.
In 1949, it snowed in Laguna Beach, and this is either a mistake in my PowerPoint or a photo of the snow. We got a couple of photos from Jane Norgren Cope. She has been the president of the Orange County Historical Society. Of course, at the corner of Glenneyre Street and Park Avenue is the Cope House, built in 1897. We have a number of images of it, but we've never had this one, and she was kind enough to let us scan it in.
That's before the brick fireplace got put up.
And the retaining wall and other.
Where's the pump?
Those were the bricks that got hauled away to St. Francis or St. Mary's or the American Catholic, whatever you want to call that building up there, during the earthquake. So the bricks came and went. They're back. We don't own the home anymore, but the bricks were hauled back or rebought. My uncle said later that bricks were cheap. My grandmother got out of there without a scratch, and he said that was the best deal of all. So, but that's what the house was like before it got all kind of gussied up, and of course it has a wall around the base of it now because the city cut the road down, and it had to go. My grandmother was not repaid any money at all for the land she had to give up.
Which street, Glenneyre or Park, did they?
It's on the corner of Park and Glenneyre.
Well, no, but the city took frontage.
Well, this doesn't show what the real height. If you go up there, it's right across from the library. If you look at it today, you get a whole different perspective because of the way. And the lot ended up being a kind of a triangular piece. And my uncle Bernard, who was the eldest child, said that it was originally an acre of land with a barn being across the street on the left. And that all went when the city decided to get modern and pave everything. Yeah.
Now,
this would be Glenneyre right away, right here.
Yeah, Glenneyre there, and Dr. Mason's building would have gone in on the right-hand side. That's the building there before Dr. Mason's place, and it's the modern architecture, I believe, is how you pronounce it today.
Was it a hospital a little later?
Was it
a hospital?
No, it's I don't know what it is now, but he had
It was a hospital.
He had a clinic there because he was about the only guy in town for a while.
Jane, in the Laguna Beach Historic Resource Inventory, they talk that one of the things remaining is the pump in the front lawn. So that's why I said, where's the pump? I don't see the pump in this photo.
No.
Do you know anything about that?
I don't either.
Okay. Then also from Jane, she had an image. We have had numerous images of Nick Ish's house, Nick and Catherine Ish house at 289 Laguna Avenue. This is right down just from the Heisler building a little bit on the other side of Ramona Street. And this is the Ish house built in 1905.
So maybe Jans could help us out. This isn't where Peacock's building is. This is the building where Dr. Claire office is and
No.
the dentist, or
That's
is
where the Peacock building is.
Oh, it is. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Carroll's building is to the right,
Okay.
right next to Ramona Avenue.
Skip is asking, which I would say, what we've thought is where Tuvalu now is at the corner of Glenneyre and Forest Avenue
That
was the Peacock building.
That was Roy Peacock, and the son, Bob Peacock, in later generation, built the building that's there today on the corner where this house used to be.
We also got from our Historical Society board member, John Hoover, who in marching around Crystal Cove and took this photo and a series of others, World War II defense bunker at Crystal Cove. And of course, they went in it. Here's apparently what it looked like just recently.
These were located, I just gave a program last Wednesday night in Dana Point on the history of their parks and open space, and the program finished with the open space preservation on the headlands, and I was informed that evening that there are similar installations on the Dana Point headlands, which would make sense.
Here's some images from the Dr. A.H. Whiteman collection, thanks to Marianne Whiteman Salamita. This images of Emerald Bay, an aerial photo in 1940, includes the Whiteman Accord, which now we have Whole Foods, where Accord Markets was for a long time, and prior to that, Accord Market was on Forest Avenue. And the park in Emerald Bay is named after Swanson Park.
Right in here.
And so it shows the Whiteman Accord and the John Thomas Swanson homes. Now, I always say that the new pier was destroyed by the so-called hurricane of 1939, but this is dated a 1936 photo of the Main Beach Pier. So apparently, I mean, if you could row a boat out here, you did okay, but there was something missing. And so apparently the Main Beach Pier was damaged for quite a while before 1939 put the end to it all. During that storm, apparently there was whatever month it was in 1939.
September 29th.
What was it?
September 29th.
And, well, no, but in September there was a series of 4 tropical storms that came down and battered the coast. And Eric is saying
Actually, they came up the coast.
Came up
South
the coast.
swells, right.
Oh, they came from the south.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That was the day that it reached 119 degrees in Laguna Beach, the highest recorded temperature here.
So if you go to the video clip, those were the days. That's not there. 119 degrees, no. Here's another aerial of Emerald Bay.
See that close up.
Here's earlier 1934. These are little brownie snapshots, so we scan them in the best we can, but they still are images that we've never seen before.
Let's see. This is really by the seat of the pants. This is Smith Cliffs. This is Lon Smith's driveway right here, or Pancho Barnes' Dos Rocas estate, because the boundary between Smith Cliffs and Emerald Bay runs right through here like this. So that's where the driveway was and the home, which is probably right there, obscured by the trees. And McKnight Drive would be built right over and about here, like this. That feature right there is probably seal rocks from offshore. Boy, that is a real incredible photo.
So this one, looking down the coast, includes, in the distance though, is the, Pancho Barnes. Florence Barnes' grandmother was Dobbins.
This is it right here. There's Smith Cliffs again from a different angle. And there's the house, Gene, you were just going to mention.
So Grandma Dobbins built a house for herself and built another one for her daughter. Pancho Barnes' mother then died, so she inherited it. Then she started throwing wild parties, so Grandma Dobbins made her move the house to the end of the property. When you have 30 acres, you can do things like that.
And then this would be Crescent Bay here, and there's Seal Rocks again, and there's Twin Points right there.
So this is the Whiteman Accords and the John Thomas Swanson houses down below on this aerial photograph. Mary Ann Whiteman and Jane Jantz, you were in the same classes, yes? Okay. So where are you, Jane?
Far left, bottom row.
So this is Jane?
That's Jane.
Ah.
Yeah,
That's in second grade.
second grade.
So Jane, did you get good grades?
No,
How was your deportment?
worse.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So the
Who's the teacher, Jane?
Miss Clark,
She looks a little scary, was she?
she was. She'd pinch your arm when she wanted you to move.
Yes.
how come the boys all had to stand at the rear?
They were taller.
I see. Okay, and then here's some third graders. It looks like just female students here. And Mary Ann Whiteman. Are you in this one, Jane?
I don't think so.
But you do notice that Jane was the farthest from the teacher in the front row in the
Yeah.
last photo.
Smart.
I think I heard she had a deportment problem. Okay, we showed previously, the Franklin D. Roosevelt photo showing the White House and so forth of Franklin D. Roosevelt coming through town in 1938. Dr. Whiteman took a photo out of his office window.
Has anybody ever seen this angle of FDR's tour here? So he's waving.
Oh, I'll go back.
That's probably him waving his hat. Could this be Frank Kuparian standing on the running?
No.
I'm just joking.
They greet him at. They're going to greet him at downtown.
Okay.
The welcoming committee.
Can I get some historical background?
Could you please take the microphone again? We're being broadcast on television, so you need to be mindful of the listening audience.
Well, there is some historical background to the picture. Roosevelt was elected in a landslide in '36, and with the confidence of the landslide, he overreached in his initiatives, and including the issue over trying to pack the Supreme Court. And then in '38, as the year began, the economy took another sudden dive back into depression. And there was a public revolt against the overreaching of the government, the extensive programs that he was trying to expand. And this was a year of midterm elections. And every elected Democrat in the country had his position at risk. So Roosevelt was out touring the country trying to regain his base of support. He only stopped here because it was on the way from LA to San Diego.
Well, he didn't stop for long. But we do have a video clip of it. Here's Mary Ann Whiteman's first Holy Communion in 1940. One cuter than the next. We have some images that Rakumba Connolly sent us. Here is the artist Theo Heap, his wife, and his daughter Monica at the Festival of the Arts booth in 1955. Here's Glenda and Eileen Acord in 1958, helping Dad stack cans at Acord's Market. Now, I think this is on Forest, when Acord's was on Forest Avenue. Does anybody know?
You know where, Gene, on Forest Avenue it was?
No. Here it is on Broadway, and this mentions the French chateaux. So this building, when the Laguna Federal Savings in the 1970s wanted to expand their parking lot, the Wells Fargo Bank parking lot today, they went in for a demolition permit after buying the property. Arnold Haino took it to the California Coastal Commission, and they had to move the building. So this French Chateau building, which is featured in Karen Wilson Turnbull's the Cottages and Castles of Laguna Beach, was saved and is now at 1166 Glenneyre Street. This course, what did I do there? I got a little carried away there.
The other building was moved as well, I think.
Yes.
The Casa del Mingo or
It's the Thai restaurant next to the former
The Royal
Tortilla
Thai.
Flats now.
The Royal Thai on South Coast Highway is the second building. We got some images from Jean Niemeyer collection. And so her ancestor was Fred Treffern, who's here with his son Ernie and his wife Ada. And this wagon back here has barrels in it. And it's Fred Treffron in front of the W.M. Boring grocery store. And he would go to Spring Ranch at the corner of El Toro Road and Laguna Canyon Road, and he would fill up barrels of water, and he would bring them into town and sell the water. Those were the days. I would think almost for sure this is William Brooks, who was one of the first homesteaders in Laguna Beach in the 1880s, and then drove the stage to Santa Ana or El Toro.
Say where the grocery store was?
This is W.M. Boring.
Knew where it stood?
Where did it stand, Jane?
I'm not sure. Near the highway, near the hotel, but I'm not sure.
In the downtown area, somewhere close to the hotel, where the Hotel Laguna is currently, but we don't know for sure. Well, that horse-driven wagons is not all that's cracked out to be, so how about getting a truck? Now, of course, you guys presently probably drive vehicles that have rubber tires, but if you're a real man, steel belted tires is what's in. So anyway, this is Fred Treffern driving a truck about 1900. His wife Ada, and the nice hat, is sitting next to him. And of course, apparently some of these things were removable so that he could get down there and work the mechanisms when things went run. And that's one fine truck. So in Joseph S. Thurston's book, published in 1947, Laguna Beach, the early days, he's got a page on Fred Treffern talking about him driving this truck around until it died.
Notice the clearance on it, though. Boy, he could probably get through some swampy stuff in the canyon and whatnot.
Here's Fred. Now, we're told that in 1908 he was the first sheriff and driver. What exactly that means? Who knows? Anybody knows? County sheriff?
Well, it would if it would be maybe the first sheriff in Laguna Beach. It wouldn't be the first sheriff in the county.
That's one good-looking truck. Here's Fred and Ada. I think they're 35 and 32. No, this is later on in later on in life. And it was a rough life. He worked hard, but he had fun also. Here's Fred driving a float. I think that's his truck.
Yeah, it is.
Dialed up there.
Jane, was this in Laguna? Did they have some sort of?
My mother said that this was, they were from Laguna, but this float was for a different town.
Okay,
This parade did not take place in Laguna.
The big parade back in those days in the county was called the Parade of Progress every year, and it was in Santa Ana. There are similar photos in the Irvine family archives.
First you decorate the float, then you drive to Santa Ana.
Probably the reverse. The flowers would be all messed up by the time they got there.
Here's another picture of the snowing. I thought I would also, this is something we've had for quite a while, this Stories of Laguna, which was a book that was published in 1908 by Lita Martin. And in it, the prose is very flowery. It's very difficult to read and get through. And then they just have pasted in photos of the story. So here's some images that we were allowed to scan in. So apparently this is in the pavilion. You know, the pavilion was built where the Hotel Laguna parking lot is now in about 1900. Later in 1918, it was taken over by the Laguna Beach Art Association as the art gallery. And when they built the fireproof art gallery up on Cliff Drive, the building then went to a house and is still there today as part of a house on Graceland Drive. But here is a pastor doing Sunday school or services in the pavilion.
I think the guy in the picture is Captain Amy.
Captain Amy.
Who was one of the Riverside people who have done very well raising oranges, and they bought the first lot south of, thank you. They bought the first lot south of the Hotel Laguna, and I think that he was, along with the Ferris family, was very active in having Sunday services, and I think he was the teacher.
So when they came camping out, the Riverside colony congregated around where now is the Hotel Laguna, and they bought property, and they brought their minister down to have services.
He was one of the people. He wasn't a minister. He was a guy that just thought there ought to be Sunday services. And he had built a home on the bluff along with Ferris and the other Riverside families. They came as a group of 10 families and bought 10 lots from Henry Goff right along the bluff south of the hotel.
Thank you, Skip. So here is the boat hauled up on the sand in 1908. The easiest place to launch boats and to retrieve them was at Boat Canyon. And this is Josie Durkham, who apparently, according to the book, she would bring the buckboard down to get the catch from her brothers, and then she would drive the buckboard around town selling fish. Where do you find women like that today? Well, back in the early 1900s, they were looking for the girl of the Golden West. And the girl of the Golden West, this is a photo of the famous painting by the noted artist Louis Betts. So the painting now hangs in the Chicago Art Institute. So he went around and he found Josie Durkham of Laguna Beach, and of course her horse Hondo. And the date of the painting is 1914. The location for the painting is where is now the Laguna Beach Water District building. And so last year I was at the Art Institute in Chicago, and I asked to see the painting, and they acted like they didn't know what I was talking about. So it's in storage, I imagine. Daily we gather around the wagon. In the Stories of Laguna in 1908, there's a section on Joseph S. Thurston, and they refer to him almost like he's a saint. He would drive around in his wagon and sell food. And every day they would go out and daily purchase the produce that he had available for sale. I'll have some celery. We got melons today. I'll have some broccoli, melons. If you notice, everybody on this day has purchased a melon because maybe they don't have anything else. But they speak very highly of Joseph S. Thurston in this book. Here's the genuine Concord stage. Looks quite familiar to the one we looked at previously that William Brooks maybe was driving. And Ramsey says that Catherine Skidmore sold the Concord stage for $50 for a movie, and they pushed it off the cliff and destroyed it. Here's the greeter Joe Lucas in 1908. Joe Lucas died in 1910. This is a trident. If you recall the story, he's Portuguese. He's on a sailing ship. The ship wrecks. He's then terrified of the sea and stays in Laguna Beach. He's a real McCoy greeter, so when the stage comes from El Toro or Santa Ana and goes to the Laguna Beach Hotel, he greets it and gets tips and earns his living with, helping people with their luggage and so forth. In the book, Stories of Laguna, published in 1908, it says, the only English old Joe Lucas ever learned was cuss words. We also got some images from First American Title. I just love these things. If you're interested in the best historic photo collection, it's up in Santa Ana, First American Title. So here's a few I think I showed in November. Otherwise, you maybe have never seen before. Here's the Witch's House at 290 Wave Street, built by Vernon Barker, 1924, 1929. So we saw the little corner of this house before. Here's the house at the end of Arch Street, William and Julia Bracken's, William Went's house and studio, I guess.
On the market. It's on the market if you've seen it in recent mailers in the news. 2.5.
So apparently it was right on Coast Boulevard, but when they graded Coast Highway, Coast Highway went through in 1926 and then was expanded, widened in 1932. So if you go to this house now, it's at the end of Arch Street and it is high above Coast Highway. Here's the Park Avenue cottages, I guess during construction. Oh, I don't know. The lack of vegetation and landscaping.
When were they built?
Let's see what we have here. The Park Avenue cottages were built in 1923 across the street from the St. Francis by the Sea. 5 identical clapboard cottages with single gable roofs, central doors flanked by casement windows. Clapboard got its name from sound timbers made on windy days. It was built by Pete Bushman, a former Laguna Beach fire chief, to obtain rent income to supplement his income. So 1923.
Thank you. I've wondered about that most of my life.
Well, the city, did a historic resource inventory in the 1980s, and it's online at the city website. Anybody know what this is? I got a big question mark.
Well, if it's cigars, is it Jarris's?
What's that say down underneath the Indian chief?
Laguna Pipe Shop.
Laguna Pipe Shop. Well, we'll have to look that up.
Looks like they have magazines for sale and stuff as well.
What'd it say? It says tobacco on the left and probably cigars in the middle. So in 1935, the old sewage disposal plant was built at 1700 Laguna Canyon Road, and I'm just trying to find somebody who was inside it. Is this the inside?
It certainly is. Wow. It's the digesters.
The inside of the cylindrical building, though? Or
yes, right. It's the digesters, and those, if you go back to the other shot, the mechanical equipment is basically like electric egg beaters that are on either side in each of the vats, twirling the stuff around.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they store empty cardboard boxes there now.
Yeah.
So here, our president emeritus, Belinda Blackadder, said the Cabrillo Dance Hall went into Main Beach in 1926, but later became a bowling alley. So here's the bowling, and then this is the interior of the bowling alley. It's a good-looking bowling alley. That was mechanical pin setting?
Mechanical pin setting. You got 10 cents for every line you set. They have, excuse me. You have to set 2 alleys at the same time.
But it wasn't mechanical. You had to do it by
It was all
hand.
mechanical, and you had to watch out real carefully. If they, sometimes with bowl while you're standing and putting the pins in, they get real anxious to get the ball down the alley. And many times we got hit by flying pins and bowling balls. It was a dangerous job. I didn't last too long.
So you can confirm this is the interior of the...
Absolutely. That's just pitch perfect for what it looked like in there at that time.
The bowling alley on Main Beach.
Oh, well, I set pins in there in 1952 and 53, as I remember.
How much were you paid?
Oh, we were paid 10 cents a line, plus whatever tips they would throw down the alley in a tennis ball. Oh, somebody remembers. That's good.
Big bucks.
But was it a bowling alley until the city purchased property?
I don't know what happened after I quit setting pins there. I'm not too sure whatever happened to it. I don't know.
I think it was still functioning in the early 60s, if I recall correctly.
All I remember was that the lights went out one time. There was a power outage, and a couple of spin setters went over there, too, where they kept beer in the coolers and swiped a few to have a few brews on the house. I can say that now.
So that concludes the images. I want to thank those who have shared with us: Julie Benedict, Susan Adcock Osborne, Mary Lamb, Robert Story, Rukumba Connolly, Joanne Conroy Billings, Lawson Mead, John Hoover, Mary Ann Whiteman Salamida, Jean Niemeyer, First American Title, and who am I missing there? I'm missing somebody, aren't I?
Yourself.
No. Anyway, here's the upcoming programs. On Tuesday, May 28th, we're going to have the History of Negotiations 1990 Save Laguna Canyon, the bond measure G. We're going to have former Mayor Paul Freeman and Planning Commissioner Norm Grossman lead a panel. And then on Tuesday, the 25th, Foster Eubank and I, our book is being published May the 6th, Then and Now of Laguna Beach, and we're going to put together a PowerPoint presentation primarily of what didn't make the book, but we'll include some of what made the book, and that will be then. And so that can... I see. Well, this is what happens with history.
Does everybody know Jean's book? It's coming out. Here it is.
Oh,
It's wonderful.
Well, why don't you announce it?
Wonderful
I can't
pictures.
is that an Arcadia?
Oh, I see.
Oh, I'm just holding up Jean Felder's new accomplishment. Here it is, Laguna Beach, then and now. And congratulations, Jean. Wonderful pictures all throughout. It's a must-have. When can we buy it?
May 6th.
And are you having a signing session? You're going to be there to sign?
Well, our agent, we have our people speaking to other people, and we will, when there's something
You'll do it
to
then.
announce, we will announce it.
But it's so good to have.
Do we have something to announce, Foster?
Amazon.
Yeah, we'll announce it when we're ready. Oh, we have another program coming up. This is May 30th, Edgar Payne program at the Laguna Art Museum. Our buddy Eric Jessen will be, he's gone around to find the locations of where the Payne paintings were done. So you don't want to miss that. And What day of the week is May 30th, Eric?
Thursday at 7 p.m.
Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Laguna Art Museum.
It's a slightly modified program from the one that was given here.
In the beginning of the program, there was somebody named Story, and I remember...
Could we have absolute silence, please?
I remember a girl in high school when I was... There wasn't any high school here. We had to go to Tustin. But her name was June Story. Was she part of the same family?
She was the sister of Maxine.
Maxine's Story, sister.
But not related to Bob's story.
Thank you. Say your name.
Barbara Bing.
Thank you.
Barbara
Bing.
The pictures up here of Bob, that Bob Story submitted, he was not related to June Story and Maxine Story Dugan, who their name is spelled differently. But those two were sisters and not related to the Bob Story, whose father had the Weddell ceramics here in town. They were different families. But June Story was a movie star.
That one I knew. There's another one named Berta Mackey. Another person that was in school with me was Berta Mackey. And she was one of the first people that was in the festival. Actually, when the festival started, she was one of the two people that were in it. June and Berta were both in it. And when it was just down on the pier, well, that wasn't even a pier, Main Beach. That's where it started. But I don't know what happened to them.
So, Barbara, how are you related to William Swift Daniel?
Oh, I'm his granddaughter.
You're William Swift Daniel's granddaughter, and so the Laguna Beach being an art colony, you know, Norman St. Clair is generally given credit for being the first artist in Laguna Beach in 1900, a watercolorist. But both around 1905 or 1906, Norman St. Clair had a one-man show at the Laguna Beach Hotel, and William Swift Daniels had a one-man show at the Breakers, didn't he? In 1905 or 1906?
I wish my daughter were here to remember things.
Something like that. So it's right from the beginning.
That's all right. That's all right. Oh, before we end, if anybody would like to, before they leave the building, I got some information from a relative of Blanche Clapp Smith, who lived at the bungalow that we have all the history at, and I put it over there at the table. So she sent some pictures of her relatives, and a Blanche is a little girl, and some other information. I'm going to make some more copies, and later on, Jean can scan it and have it be more available.
I just want to say May is Laguna Heritage Month, and we have a flyer here with the events that you can pick up as you leave. And the opening event will be at, will be the day of the night of the art walk at John Madison's place at 6 p.m. So please pick up a flyer.
Hi, my name is Kai Weiser. I'm also working with the Laguna Lifeguards and doing a pictorial history. Peanuts Larson, his name came up, and Craig Lockwood had written about him several years back, but he recently finished a book called Peanuts, and that was also in conjunction with the Surfing Heritage Foundation. A great book, and it's a local history book with Peanuts and Laguna Beach. We also have a Facebook page called Vintage Laguna that the lifeguards have, so if anyone is there in touch Facebook in some way, just look up Vintage Laguna there, and the video that you talk about, the old Laguna way back when, those were the days, that's also on there. That's a great clip.
Do you happen to know who made that video clip?
No, but I think if you look at the YouTube, there might be some verbiage on there. Someone is credited to do that. I can't recall off the top of my head, though.
Yeah, it's not like a person's name. It's like a nickname or something. So
It could be, but it's a great video.
I agree.
Okay. Well, Jean, that was awesome. You guys were awesome. Thank you for all those additions. Those are wonderful. This is what it's all about, really, and it makes it so much fun. But I also want to congratulate our new board member, Ed Stark. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And those that are watching, this has been really excellent. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Eric. This is always fun. Thank you so much.